there is the demand side of governance and there is the supply side of governance. The job of the president, the senators, the House of Reps members, your governors, the political machinery, their job is to supply governance. We need roads, they fix it. We need electricity. We need this. We want this. We want justice. So at the supply side of justice, you find your judiciary, your Supreme Court. At the supply side of executive governance, you find the executive governors and the president and the appendages of this office. At the supply side of legislative governance, you find your legislators. Then at the demand side of governance, you find the individuals in their clusters, you find the media, and then you can find opposition parties there. And so usually people tend to think that when governance is not working, they like pointing accusing fingers at the supply side of governance, which means Tinubu is not doing well, Buhari is not doing well, Akpabio is not doing well, the judiciary are not fair. But when you also look, you ask yourself, has the demand side of governance been credible, been cogent, and sensible, and driven for a long time? And if you ask me, I will tell you that Nigerians have failed Nigeria even much more than Tinubu has failed Nigeria. And it might not be popular because, people like blaming others for their own failure, but I don't like doing that. If you ask me, let's go back to the elections. Who rigged the elections? I will tell you that it's Nigerians that allowed it to happen. Remember that we were on your show discussing things that we could do to stop what happened from happening. But as we were discussing it, people were shutting us down, claiming that we received money from the APC to spread fear and misinformation, claiming that they had already won the elections, even when we were telling them that there were risks involved, and people didn't pay attention to the risk. So if you look at the election, and you're pointing an accusing finger at the person who pulled the trigger, I'm also asking you to point accusing finger at the person who left the gate open for the thief to come in and snatch our ballot boxes. That's number one. And then let's come back to governance. You see, the thing with governance is this, that people don't understand the kind of powers they have. And when they don't understand it, when they don't appropriate those powers, yes, the president has executive powers, but the citizens have powers of association, of making concrete demands. If you don't demand for good roads, don't expect that the politician will, in his benevolence, give you good road. If you don't demand for quality governance, don't expect. For instance, if you don't demand for credible judgment from the judiciary, don't expect them to serve you credible justice platform a la carte. Even in advanced societies where things are working, they are working because people are making it work. As of today, I think it was 2 months ago, there were protests in the UK. What were they protesting? They were protesting police brutality on cats and on pet dogs. And that was a protest. And in fact, they protested so much so, you can Google these things up, that they forced the community policing, the police departments to review their operations and engagement towards pets. But in Nigeria, you see that people don't have that kind of tenacity to keep on pushing. You see a lot of complaints, you see a lot of whining, you see a lot of nagging, but you don't see concerted effort at hitting the problem. And even when we overcome our lethargy to organize, to congregate, to do things, you also see that usually we get carried away by sentimentalism, that we think that we can just say, I no go agree, and all of a sudden tomorrow everything will come all right. No, you have to have that persistence, that strength of character to say, look, we're going to stay on this problem till it's solved. Whether it's solved in 1 year, 2 years, 4 years, 8 years, we're going to stay on it till it's solved. But what Nigerians do is that once they knock and the door is not opened, immediately they knock, they give up, and that's not how you get. The demands must be concrete and persistent.